And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And welcome back to the TMCJ podcast. We are on episode 20. Oh my god. We've hit the other double-digit milestone, which is slightly less exciting than 10 and slightly more exciting than 30.
You know what's really irking you already about this so far?
What?
Is that you started the podcast with the word "and." That's like starting a book with "and."
Well, I mean, technically I start the podcast with the word 1. Or 5. Do I count down or count up?
That's more for your editing purposes, not...
Well, okay. Yeah, but it still makes it into the final podcast. I mean, it's a...
Sorry, yeah. 20! Woo!
Sure, I don't know. Like, but I mean, it is and the last podcast. It's the next episode. You just and welcome back. Where
maybe one day we'll have like a supercut of all of them in a row.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And it'll make sense.
Yeah, maybe in the first podcast I said, "Welcome to the TMCJ podcast." I'm Walter Cronkite.
What?
Walter Cronkite. He was an American newscaster from, like, I want to say the 60s? Or maybe I want to say the 60s. Anyway, doesn't matter. Yeah, so it is... Oh, what?
Bollocks.
What did you do?
You keep talking.
What did you do?
I just realised my... Oh, for floodle. Keep talking. God
Okay.
damn it.
We are on with topics to begin things for our 20th episode. We didn't have 20 themed topics, but to start things off, I just wanted to talk about this. We've talked previously about, like, stupid technology, things that just seemed completely idiotic and really don't serve much of a purpose besides being a gimmick. And this was something that I sort of thought was going to fall into those categories until I actually got my hands on it and realized it's actually pretty cool. I got this pair of sunglasses that are also headphones and microphones. So it looks just like a normal pair of sunglasses, but it's got speakers in the rim on the back of it where it goes over your ear, and a microphone on it somewhere, and Bluetooth. So it hooks up to your phone, and, like, you can walk... It's a pair of sunglasses. They work fine. They've got UV protection. They're really high-quality sunglasses. But they're also playing, like, audio into your ears. They're just really fucking cool. And after we spent the better part of an entire segment 1 talking about how some gimmick technology is just absolutely stupid, and people are, well, potentially idiots for picking it up. I wanted to throw out one positive piece. Like this, I thought it was going to be a gimmick. I got them for free through, like, a work thing. Excuse me. I coughed away from the mic. I remembered to do that.
Good job.
At work they do, like, this incentive program where if you complete a project or do something helpful, instead of giving you money, they give you these gift card points, and you can put them towards stuff in this store, and it's just a way for them. It's a cool thing. But whenever I get enough of these points to buy something, I always spend it on something that I would have never bought normally. So the last time I did it, I got an iPad. Because I think tablets are stupid, and I still think they're stupid, but I do use that iPad quite a bit. Because it's basically just a big phone that doesn't call people. Then you've got these glasses were another thing I picked up on that, and it's something I never would have bought on my own, but now I actually think they're something that are worth buying if you. I wore them running. I've worn them walking around, like, doing errands outside, and yeah, they're you can make calls on them. I don't know, they're just really cool. I'm waffling. They're just really cool.
Yeah, so thank you for waffling. Basically, my audio is going to be awful for the first third of this podcast. because I don't know why my microphone is being a B word. A biscuit. It's being a biscuit. And so there will be no recording of my voice separately, just so you know.
All right.
Yes, no, but the sunglasses, super cool. Really cool sunglasses. I saw them yesterday. They're kind of like Blues Brothers sunglasses kind of thing. Yeah, shame they're not aviators, but honestly...
I'm glad that you told me that, by the way, Blue. So your mic isn't recording right now?
Correct.
Okay. I made one tiny adjustment on my end, so your audio won't be super awful, but yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out in post. Fuck it, we'll do it live. So
technical difficulties. Oof.
There's a podcast that I listen to, which I honestly think is underappreciated. It's two old StarCraft. They used to do StarCraft casting and other video game stuff back when StarCraft 2 was huge. Now they're one of them's still streaming, and he's pretty popular. And the other guy, I want to say he has his own website, and he does like this stuff. And this podcast is his. The podcast is actually called Technical Difficulties.
Right.
And it doesn't get like I think it should get more views. It doesn't get a ton of them. It's like maybe a few hundred every podcast. They do actually do the podcast. They stream the podcast live, and then they publish a recorded version afterwards. So I don't know how many viewers they have when they're going out live. It's probably more since one of them's a streamer. But I enjoy it. Just the technical difficulties thing made me think of that. But
yeah,
that is sorry, go on.
I was going to go on with technical difficulty things, not relating to what we've just been talking about, but something else.
Oh, okay. I do want to get back to what we were...
Well, yeah.
The other topic.
Well, the original topic. Okay,
no,
cool. Right,
no,
I'm going.
Not the original topic. All right, go on.
So, the Yogscast Jingle Jam thing is still going on, which I talked about last week. And I was saying earlier to Kaiser how they're doing a special CSGO in-house tournament.
Yeah.
And they were having a lot of technical difficulties because the number of people, and this does make me mad, the number of people that are DDoSing a charity live stream.
I'm sorry. It's not. I shouldn't be laughing. I'll tell you why I'm laughing after you tell the story. But
so DDoSing, I don't know exactly what DDoS stands for. I'm sure Kaiser does.
It's a denial of service attack. I don't remember what the exact acronym stands for.
Basically, they crash the servers that everything is running on, so everything freezes up and nothing works.
Yeah.
So the game, they got like halfway through a game of CSGO. It was really good. It was brilliant. A lot of people were donating a lot of money to charity, and then the whole thing just froze and crashed because some absolute chocolate bar out there was, got it into their heads that they wanted to just stop everything and just be a giant dinosaur. And that is kind of disgusting to me.
Okay, and let me tell you why it was amusing to me when you first said it.
Okay.
So this is one of the things that is both horrifying and magical, I think, about the internet, is that it's a place where it's essentially a parody of real life in a lot of ways. Like, if you give somebody the opportunity to be a horrible person and troll on the internet, in general, someone's going to take that opportunity. I'm thinking back to an event that happened in World of Warcraft. I didn't play it, but I heard about this, like, third hand through people, like, doing, like, videos on it and, like, retrospectives and stuff. There was a person in a guild who died, and they held a funeral for him in World of Warcraft. And, because all his friends played it and stuff like that. But they held it in, like, a public server, public area, which I don't know if you can do it in a private one in World of Warcraft at the time. I don't understand that game. And, of course, a rival guild raided the funeral and killed everyone.
gosh.
And again, I'm laughing, but it's horrible. There's such a something I've always found trolling amusing, and that
I
to
don't
me.
think you'd ever do something like that, though.
Oh no, I wouldn't. I personally wouldn't.
No.
But reading or hearing about it third hand amuses me.
But the thing is, they're not even making a present. They're not even doing something funny.
No, no, exactly.
I appreciate there's like an actual battle kind of thing going on, and there's
right.
There's a face that you can see. You have someone you can blame.
Yeah.
Whereas this is just like they don't get anything. There's nothing to get from it. They're just fucking with like a good cause, and it's just scummy.
They're just crashing the server, just because it could be somebody that just doesn't like them too. But still, it's you'd think for charity that's the moment where you kind of not do something like that. But then again, in my mind, it's probably some fucking edgy teenager or 20-something who just wanted to be a dick. Is just hates life right now and just wanted to be a dick. That's my read on it, and it is horrible that it happened, especially for. I mean, it's like going to like a cancer walk and like I don't know, setting fire to the drinks table.
Yeah.
Or actually, no, it's more than that. It's more like blowing up the road at a cancer walk. Like, because a DDoS attack is going to take down everything.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, no, I just that's technical difficulties. That was on that topic, so I threw it out there.
It's a slightly darker technical difficulty.
Going back to what we were talking about before, you said you had something.
Oh yeah. So it was what we were talking about before we actually started the podcast, and just to give a brief synopsis, and we won't dwell on this point in particular, but there's a bit of a row going on about some actor who isn't gay playing a gay person in a movie or TV show or something like that.
So yeah, James Corden.
No, that's who it is. Yeah.
Popularly known for his evening show, The Late Late Show, I think it is. Also, Gavin Stacey. He was a big actor. He's a comedian, and he's just very well known. And he recently performed in a Netflix production called The Prom as a gay character. And yeah, Kaiser, do you want to go on?
Yeah, so basically, people got mad because he's not gay. He's playing this character, and I was thinking like, my immediate reaction was, why the hell are people mad? Like, you're an actor. Your job is to pretend to be something you're not. He's apparently a good actor if he's pretending to be gay and he's not. But I like the argument is like, oh, he's taking jobs away from all the gay actors out there that could have been cast in the role. And I don't want to get into that debate, but it reminded me of a quote that I heard quite a few years ago, and it was an actor talking about like his style of acting versus like method acting, because method actors are the people who are like, I'm going to play a psychopath, so I'm going to lock myself in my hotel room and just not have human contact for 38 days or something like that. Yeah. Or, I have to play this Olympic athlete, so I'm going to train every day.
Are you saying that James Corden slept with a man in order to be method acting?
No, that is not, God damn it, that is not what I'm saying. I'm saying that it reminded me of that, because there was one actor who was commenting on method acting, and I can't remember what actor this was. And I'm going to butcher the quote because it's been years since I've even heard this. It was he goes like, he's like, he said something along the lines of, I have no respect for method actors. Like, you're not acting at that point. You're literally being the character or something like that. Like, an actor is someone who gets a role, and no matter what the role is, they turn up and they can play that role. Like, I can see if you have to have a certain physical appearance. Like, in Fight Club, during the filming of that movie, Brad Pitt, like, did some serious workouts over the course of filming, so he looked bigger and bigger and bigger as the movie went on. And, what's his face? The other guy, Edward Norton. I'm surprised I remember that guy's name. Um, he actually went on a crash diet during it, so he looked progressively more emaciated. That I can kind of get behind because they were still acting, but then as part of playing the character during the filming of the movie, they changed their physical appearance. You can't. It's hard to act to your physical appearance, but in terms of like personality and thinking and temperament, I think I personally have a lot more respect for the people who actually just turn up and can play a character with just some rehearsal and stuff like that. They don't need to do all this method acting to get themselves in the right mindset to be the character.
Yeah, I mean that's really is the core. The best actor is just someone who could be anyone on a on a dime.
Yeah.
And if it takes a week or a month for someone to hone themselves to that particular role, then I think that's dedication to the craft rather than just trying to. I don't know. I don't know what that actor that you discussed really what their problem was. I feel like that's part and parcel with acting is that you really get into the shoes of the character you're playing to best emulate them.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. I guess it depends on like which. Yeah,
Hello?
it's
Oh,
no. I was trying to organize my thoughts because
okay.
it's whether I have a lot more respect for. So I'll use the first analog I was talking about. You're playing a psychopath in a movie, right?
Yep.
I have a lot more respect for the person who can just read the role, do a bit of rehearsal, show up on the day of filming, and play a sociopath and be really convincing than the
Right.
person who has to go through all of these like all the prep work, and they need to get into the character. They need to make themselves a sociopath because at that point you're not playing a sociopath. You've just become a sociopath. Like just
I sorry, I thought you finished.
no, I was finished.
I would compare that to when you were at college, and maybe you're going to fall into the category that I'm about to describe, but maybe not. When you were at college or university or school or whatever, and there were exams coming up, right?
Yeah.
I have more respect for the people that sat down with a fucking book every night for a month and worked their ass off and got a moderate grade. I have far more respect for them than the people who didn't do jack shit to prepare for an exam, and they're one of these people who just walks in and gets like an A star and swaggers out like, "Oh, it was a piece of cake. It means nothing to me. It's so easy." And that's the comparison that is happening in my head right now.
All right. I'm the latter person.
Yeah, that's why I said at the beginning that you might fall into one of the categories.
Yeah. No. But put in that context. That actually does put it in a bit different context. I do. Despite the fact that yes, I did fall into the latter category. I never studied in college, and I walked out of there with like a high GPA. I do have a lot more respect for the people who actually sit down and do the work and study.
Hmm.
But I guess it's yeah. Maybe it's because in my mind, I'm thinking of acting as something very different from work. As bad
Yeah,
as
I
that
mean, it is a
sounds.
career, and it's the same as any other job, really. It's just
Yeah,
a
it's a
different method.
craft. It's a
Yeah.
craft. It's similar to like any other trade, like woodworking or something like that. So okay, maybe I'm just being like I'm not. Maybe I'm
Maybe.
just being thick on this topic, but
I mean, in the same way as a graphic designer, someone could just come up to me and say, "Look, you draw like, ooh, you draw little doodles every day. Good for you. You're working so hard." But it's not just that. It's not just drawing little doodles. It's and every time I'm sure every time that an actor does method act,
yeah,
they probably over time build up a regime for each time they do that, and so the next time they have to act as a bartender in the 1800s,
Mm.
which is completely different to anything they've played before. They already have a idea in their head of, right, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to do to get better at becoming a bartender in the 1800s.
I like to think after so long doing method acting that they've just like built up a large degree of psychosis. So they don't think that. They think, "Oh, I've been to the 1800s before."
Like, get some kind of multiple personality, mental, I don't know,
Yeah.
do
Okay. That actually does kind of that like okay. I've reversed my opinion in the course of 5 minutes. I can at least I can at least have more sympathy for method actors at this
Yeah.
point.
Like, we're not looking to change anyone's mind or anything. It's just, it's nice to see someone else's point of view, and I do agree that it is very impressive to see someone who can just walk on stage and just suddenly be someone else. That is certainly impressive.
Yeah, and that's I guess that's the difference there. It's hard work versus talent.
Mm. Yeah, natural talent versus earned.
Yeah,
Not earned, but you know what I mean.
yeah. I think that's an interesting point to get into. To transition into is like there because I think there's two kinds of talent. There's the kind that somebody who is talented and somebody who has like developed a talent.
Yeah,
I don't know if
and I think there are people who have done both as well. So, like, Mozart, for example, I believe as a child he was like a prodigy. In fact, I'm pretty damn certain he was like, even as a very young child, he was making these amazing pieces, and so he had like oodles of natural talent, right?
yeah.
That much is obvious, but he also clearly must have spent most of his life sat at a piano.
Well,
and so that's what probably the combination of those two things is probably what led him to becoming so historically famous across the world.
yeah, and I'm thinking, was it Mozart or was it Beethoven? One of them went deaf in later life, and they learned to compose. And I want to say it was Mozart, but I might be wrong.
Because do you remember when we played the fucking miming game the other day?
Wait, was this about Ray Charles?
No, no. You, me, and Alicia.
Yeah, we're playing.
We were doing the
charades.
Charades, that's the one. And there was a movie, and I enacted cutting my ears off. Is that the one that you're talking about? Amadeus?
Oh, wait, did he cut his ears off?
Yeah, he went.
Oh right, yeah, you sent me a link to the
road.
movie. Sorry, no, this is coming back to me now. God.
Yeah, that was Mozart who
went deaf.
Yeah.
Okay. God, that was only a week ago. This has been one of the last 2 weeks. The last 2 weeks of the year for me, like work weeks of the year, always feel like eternities because I'm working crazy hours and it feels like I'm never going to get anything done in time.
Yeah, you've been very nose to grindstone recently.
Yeah. But anyway, the reason I brought up Mozart in that regard is, like, yes, raw talent when he was younger, but when he got older, he went deaf and had to... But he still managed to compose, like, really high-quality music despite being deaf by, like, listening to vibrations and just knowing how the keys and stuff worked.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he just could, in his head, I was going to say visualize.
The music, yeah.
Yeah, he just knows what every note looks like and sounds like, and so he doesn't need to play it. Because I wouldn't be surprised. It could be complete bollocks, but yeah.
There's an interesting like mental thing, and it's a I don't know if it's genetic or if it's something that like is caused by something. I'm not sure if anyone does. I didn't look this up and do any research into it, but there's a condition where people are able to, like, their senses are crossed, not like as in reversed, but like they can assign, like, a sound might also have a smell to them, or a texture could have a sound to it. And it's not that they put their hand across some sandpaper and in their head they hear a note or something like that. It's just that their brain interprets that texture as two different senses at the same time. Or like they smell fresh cut grass, and they also at the same time, taste steak or something like that.
Well, I mean, we know that when people are having strokes, for example, they think they can smell burnt toast.
Well, that's your brain dying. That's not.
Well, but my point is, even though it's not an actual thing, like we know that something, even though some smell is not there, we know that it's possible to smell things. So I can understand it being the same thing with if you're having a particular sensation other than having a stroke, then I can understand that people might have some kind of reaction that's completely different to anything that anyone would expect.
That's actually a good point, because like sometimes when I'm remembering something, or when I'm like a particular movie or video or something will like bring certain like smells back to my mind, or tastes.
Right.
And I can see that because the smells or tastes obviously aren't there. They're just in my head associated with that memory, or
yeah.
To that mild degree, yeah, I can kind of see where you're going with that.
I do very often get when I'm, and it goes both ways depending on which I'm looking at. But for example, there's a very particular Jack Johnson song, which reminds me of a very, very particular place in Oblivion. That is to say, the game Oblivion from the Elder Scrolls. And if I'm playing the game and I get to that place, I think of the song. And if I hear the song, I think of that place. So the...
Oh, I mean, I've had very similar experiences with games. Like there's certain music where I'm like, oh, I really want to play this game again. Or when I'm playing that game, I'm like, oh yeah, I haven't heard that song in forever.
Yeah, and some of it's like, these are not just like things that happened last year. I can remember, I can't remember much about my childhood, but every time a particular song comes on, I can remember sitting down and playing Quidditch on the Game Boy Color, I think it was, Game Boy Advanced. Totally out of the blue. Like I said, I don't really have many memories of the first house that I lived in, but that is something that does it. And they seem they're not like particularly emotional moments, they're not particularly joyous or anything, they just stick in my brain and I don't understand why, but they do.
How do we always get onto nostalgia somehow in this first segment?
I wouldn't really say it's nostalgia. I mean, nostalgia was just there was some good thing happening at the time, but it was just a regular fucking moment in my life.
Kind of along these same lines, and to be fair, I do have that exact same experience. Speaking about, it's also Oblivion, because when I was playing through Oblivion, that was I played that on the Xbox 360, and they had when the 360 came out. One of the cool new features that you could do was you could pull up the overlay and play music that was installed on your Xbox while you were playing. Right. And there was one particular album that I always, whenever I was just exploring the game and going down into the dungeons and looking for loot and stuff, there was one particular album that I always listened to. And that album actually came on my iPod in the car when I was driving somewhere the other day, and I it's just all of a sudden I was like, man, I really want to play Oblivion. But it was when you said Oblivion in one particular song, I was like, oh my god, I have a very similar experience. Was what I was thinking.
And it's not just games either. Like, there's a book that I get. I always think of when I hear a particular sound. It tends to be music that triggers these things in me. With food and smells, I guess I mean, obviously everyone recognizes certain foods from their smells, so I guess there's that very loose, easy connection.
Well, most of your taste is actually done by your nose. So, um, if you, that's why like food doesn't taste nearly as good when you have like a cold because your nose is all stuffed up.
Mm.
So when you eat food, like the actual fumes from it in your mouth actually go up back through the back of your nose,
Yeah.
and
I mean, the smell of something is just tiny particles of it anyway. So I
exactly.
suppose it's still eating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So a good chunk of tasting is actually done through smell.
Yeah, I like to just
Strangely,
line up my mashed potato with when I get a straw and just
you're snorting your mashed
yeah,
potatoes.
that's how I like to enjoy a good roast.
Oh my god.
Sorry,
Oh,
oh wow, I actually popped one of my ears doing that.
oh my god.
I can't hear out of one ear now. It's fine.
You only need one of them.
This is true. So I can hear your lustrous voice.
You're now listening to me in mono.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
god.
could also I also maxed out the microphone when I did that.
Yeah, I did. Well, you didn't on my end, which is where we're recording right now.
That's true. Mine's not actually recording, so that's fine. God, it feels really weird. It feels like I'm underwater now. I hate it when I pop my ear.
Yeah, it's always.
Sorry.
All right. Well, now that we've talked, we're moving into like weird body horror. I think that's probably where we can end segment one.
I wouldn't say it's horror, but sure. Maybe that's a dysphoric thing for you.
It's horrifying not being able to hear out of your I don't know, left side, right side. Which side are you deaf on now?
Left.
Oh, look at that, got it right. Um, okay. Any final thoughts before we wrap up segment one?
Um. Well, okay. So I was going to ask you about Cyberpunk, but
That's segment two. Believe me, I plan to talk about it in segment
oh,
two.
really? Because I wasn't sure if we were talking about. Wait, no, we didn't do a movie night. Oh my god, we forgot again.
We did forget again. Well, I mean, I wouldn't have had time
Ah,
anyway. I was working like 12-hour days all week.
this is true. It's been a busy week. Okay, cool. Well, look forward to Cyberpunk in section 2 then.
Yeah, there we go. All right, this has been segment one of the TMCJ podcast, and you will hear us again, as Blue said, to talk about Cyberpunk in segment two.